Greetings and welcome back to the landscape and welcome back to my channel. So today, as you can see, it is a bright sunshiny day. It is what it is. Is it the kind of weather that I really wanted when I travelled in autumn to the Lake District National Park? Nah, not really. But it is what it is. Can't choose the weather. I think I've mentioned this before, but I've gone to considerable time and expense these days to be here, and there's no way I'm going to let a bright sunshiny day put me off. So I've come to visit a new location, somewhere I've not been before, just for a recce. Now, a bright sunshiny day is perfect for a recce. The weather's nice for a start, so you're not fighting the weather. And, you know, you can take your time, you can have a womble, you can look at what's around you. And I don't know, when I do recce's like this, I don't feel the same kind of time pressure as when the conditions are absolutely perfect. And, you know, my shutter finger is itching to get the camera out and start to take pictures. I don't feel like that today. But walking along this footpath, I've got Coniston Old Man in front of me, and my brain's in neutral, but I'm seeing shapes and colours, and it's a bright sunshiny day. In the back of my mind, I'm thinking shapes, infrared. Oh, but hang on a minute, it's autumn. Isn't that a little bit perverse? With colour all around me, or colour just starting to come, why on earth would I choose infrared? So what I'm going to try and do today is explain why, or what I think at the moment infrared gives me, and I'm going to use this subject behind me as my metaphor. Now, it's quite difficult to show the back of the camera because it's a bright sunshiny day. So I'm going to put my spectacles on and I'm going to try and show you by looking at the back of the Osmo. So we're sort of there-ish, something like that. So what caught my eye, oh, wow, was this tree here, and there's a barn right next door to it. Now, what initially tempted me to look in this direction was actually the shape of the tree. It sort of leans over. I didn't realise this would be quite so hard with the sun beaming into my face, but there we go. But it was the shape of the tree itself, sort of almost, you know, leaning into the scene, leaning away from the barn. And the barn has got this, you know, lovely straight line shape. You can see the angle on the roof. So I was being pointed along the roof and to the tree. And yeah, in colour, it's a nice scene. Now, you've seen it in colour. You saw that when I was talking to you, but now, you've got the same image, but in infrared. And now things like this fence line here are a lot more noticeable. The shape of the tree is more noticeable. I've been very careful with Coniston Old Man so that it's a line that leads into the picture. Now, a few moments ago, I actually had a little fluffy cloud over here, which is presumably as the airflow rises up and goes up over Coniston Old Man, then you're getting a little cloud forming. There are no clouds over here. It's just completely blank and blue. Now, I've had a quick play with frame size, and forgive me, I'm not familiar with how to use this camera because I don't use it very often. So there we go, look, I've got it wrong already. So let's go 1:1. To see whether we could just contain the tree, which we can if we zoom out a little bit to also show the barn. But then for me, I've got a lot of blue sky and I've got a lot going on in the bottom of the frame. If I do the same kind of thing, but let's go to, there's a micro four thirds camera. Now we go 3:2. 3:2, I think we've got the same problem. A lot of space, certainly at the bottom of the frame, that's not really doing a huge amount. There's also the footpath here that I'm on. That actually leads into the picture from the right and then right out of the frame. Where, so if I go one by one, which is where I started, I can constrain the footpath and the wall so that it actually acts as an arrow, pointing us up towards our subject. I'm just going to come along a little bit. Again, I'm still bothered by the foreground and, you know, an expanse of blue up in the sky. I mean, clearly if I had some little fluffy clouds, that would be brilliant. But if I go 16 by 9, all of a sudden I lose that expanse of foreground and sky. And if I go in reasonably tight, let's just come down a smidge, not much. Again, I've got the corner of the footpath and the wall, but again, it's acting like an arrow. I'm constraining the foreground and the sky. I'm minimizing the sky, basically. I mean, it would have been brilliant if I had a little fluffy cloud over here on the right-hand side, but I haven't got it. I'm at f8, ISO 200, which is the native for this camera. I'm focusing a roughly 1/3 into my scene, which for me is just the edge of this fence line. Really, I should have had a shutter delay, but I haven't got one. And there we go. A really simple scene, but it looks absolutely super in infrared. Now, having stood here and talked to you about this, I can see some trees out here on the horizon. I'm just going to adjust the camera. Bear with me a second. Whoops. So let's go up there. There. Those little trees on the horizon. Where are we? Where are we? There. So I'm now going to go and recompose and see if I can make an image using those fantastic two little trees. I know traditionally odd numbers of objects in a frame don't work as well as, no, it's the other way around, isn't it? Even doesn't look as good as odd. So, you know, 1s and 3s and 5s tend to look more comfortable to the eye. And here I've just got 2, but it's what I've got. So I'm just going to go and I'm going to make the most of it. So let me go and have a play with that using my infrared camera. So I really hope that you enjoyed those pictures, but also you appreciated them as well. Infrared, for me, I think, is about shape. I'm not quite sure why that is. I know they say black and white is about shape and texture. I don't think infrared is so much about texture. But what works for me when I'm using my infrared camera is when there are strong shapes around. And I would make the point, I still apply the same compositional accuracy with regard to how I frame my infrared subjects as I would a colour subject or a black and white. It doesn't really matter. I'll still pay just as much attention and make sure that my boundaries are okay and I haven't got any distractions and it's clear with regard to what it is that I'm trying to say in camera. But those 3 subjects there, I think for me, they encapsulate what infrared does for me. It's shape or shapes. And somehow infrared is just a great medium with which to shout about a shape. And I mean, it doesn't have to be a shape in the landscape, does it? It could just as easily be a still life. It doesn't really matter. My chosen genre is landscape, so therefore that's where I apply infrared photography. Now I'm going to carry on to my location. I'm going to keep my infrared camera on my tripod as I carry it along, and if I see any other subjects, then I'll have a go with them and I'll put them at the end of this video for you to enjoy. If you're curious about infrared, I'd really encourage you to have a look at it. I mean, this infrared camera, this was pre-converted. I bought this on eBay. It's a Panasonic Lumix GX7. Didn't cost me very much. It was about £100, something like that. Whereas if you wanted to send your own camera away and have it converted, I think they're upwards of £200. So, I'm just dipping a toe into the world of infrared photography. Because this is a micro four thirds camera, I can use the existing micro four thirds lenses that I've got. So I'm kind of, win-win there. But if you're tempted, I'd just have a go. Go and buy yourself something really cheap and cheerful that can shoot infrared. Just go and have a play. That's exactly what I've done. And I've decided, you know what, I really enjoy it. I am under no illusion whatsoever that any of these images are portfolio worthy. Maybe one or two out of all of the ones that I've taken this year. Maybe one if I was being brutally honest, but I just think it's a great way to explore the world around me and see it, if you'll excuse the pun for a moment, in different light. It's just a great way to explore. And if you're tempted, go and have a go. Right, I'm going to stop rambling and do some more rambling with my feet. Thanks very much for joining me. Hope you've enjoyed it. Hope it's been useful. As usual, guys, like, comment and subscribe. If you've got any views on infrared photography, whether you love it or you hate it, please say so in the comments below. And I shall see you on my next video. Until then, stay safe, take care and stay well. Bye for now.